Hello my friend and welcome to this reading. My name is Oki and today my guides asked me to facilitate some shadow work for you. And as you can see, I have shuffled out 4 cards for you to choose from. But before I give you a close-up of these cards, let me say a few words about shadow work and then about this reading. So if you don't know what shadow work is, it basically means confronting your shadow in the attempt to transform and integrate it and to heal it. And with shadow, we are talking about those parts of yourself that you don't want to see or you don't want to feel, or that you reject or are ashamed of, or maybe you've been told to hide, and so you pushed them into the shadows and made them invisible. And now today we are attempting to recover and integrate some of those parts. And please be aware that confronting yourself with your shadow can bring up some difficult emotions, so please only do that when you feel ready to do it, when you feel stable enough, when you maybe have also some time to allow for processing feelings and allowing for integration. But also don't be afraid of it, because ultimately confronting your shadow, transforming your shadow, integrating your shadow can be a very, very healing experience. And so the way we are doing this is we will first have a look at how the shadow shows up in your life. And then we will get into what transformative powers can help you integrate that shadow and what that will then unlock for you and how it will change your life. So those are the 4 options. We have card 1, the Hare, card 2, the Mother, card 3, the Survivor, and card 4, the Sleeper. And as always, you will find the timestamps in the description box below, and I hope you will enjoy this reading. Hello again, and let's get started with your reading. So you chose this card, the Hare. And the first thing I'm getting is, in German we have a saying, or not a saying, a expression, and it's called Angsthase, which literally translates to fear and hare, so a fearful hare, and it means someone who is easily scared or anxious. I am guessing that maybe your shadow has to do with being fearful or letting your fear make the decisions for you, or maybe something specific that you're very scared of or you hadn't the courage to face yet. But also I find it very interesting that in the guidebook they go into the mythology of the hare, and I want to read you a small part of it. And here it says, the 13th century Middle English poem, The Names of the Hare, lists 77 synonyms for hare, each capturing one of its many characteristics, including starer, hedge springer, and the wild one. Appearing at dawn or dusk in hedgerows and fields, its golden eyes flashing, the hare is elusive and otherworldly. To see one is always a moment of transformative magic, especially when it stops in its tracks and stares at the moon for a moment before bounding off across the fields. So there's definitely more to the hare than just being an animal that is being chased by a lot of predators, and it's known for very quickly getting away from them and like jumping sort of in zigzag to avoid becoming some else's animal's food. But yeah, I read you this part of the book because The Hare is also very connected to the moon and to magic. So maybe that could also be part of your shadow, that you felt that you needed to disconnect from a more intuitive, more magical sense of the world, or maybe you thought having dreams and believing in magic and all those things were sort of childish, and maybe you pushed that part away into the shadows in favor of a more rational and more mind-driven view of the world. So there's already a lot of different themes coming up, but let's have a look first how that shadow shows up in your life. How does that shadow show up in your life? Purity, and I already want to take this other card, shine. Very interesting. And if you look at those cards, the woman on those cards looks almost the same, except here she has her eyes open and here she has her eyes closed, but also, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a small crescent moon on her forehead. So I feel this card really connects to what I mentioned before, this childlike innocence or purity of perceiving the world very intuitively and perceiving the world as magical. That might be a theme for you. And with the shine, I feel like maybe the thing you are scared of is being seen. Maybe you have a tendency to hide away in the shadows, or to run away from things that would actually be good for you or would be enjoyable for you, because you're scared to be seen, or you're scared to be seen in this aspect of you or in a specific way. But let's get some tarot cards to see if we can get some more information about this. And we have 3 of Pentacles and 4 of Pentacles. Yes, with those 2 cards I'm getting, you are probably very good at something, but you're maybe scared that other people will perceive that as arrogance. And you're scared to show your skill in that area. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I felt suddenly a little bit dizzy and I had to take a break, but now I'm back. Yes, I'm feeling that there's some area in your life where you are really good at, or you would be really good at, but you're somehow not daring to go there because you're scared to be seen, or you're scared that other people will envy you, or other people will think that you are arrogant, or other people will think that you are taking too much space, or you are taking up a position that you are undeserving of, or something like that. So maybe you feel like an imposter, or you're really scared of other people's judgment of you. And I think it also goes together with this childlike innocence or purity that we talked about. Maybe you feel like if you tap into that, you won't be able to put up proper boundaries. You won't be able to make proper decisions, but also that isn't actually true. You can still be in that energy, be in that space, and still be able to make good decisions and take good care of yourself. Let's have a look at what transformative powers might actually help you to integrate that shadow. And we have Fly Agaric, Virtual Reality. That's interesting because also with this card a German expression comes into my head, and it's called Glückspilz, which translates to lucky mushroom, which basically means a person who is very lucky. And also, of course, the red mushroom with the white dots is a symbol of luck. And how I feel this ties in with what we just talked about is that maybe those gifts and talents that you have, maybe you could come to understand that you're very lucky to have them, that you're very gifted, and maybe to appreciate that part of you more. And also I feel that maybe it's difficult for you to accept things that are being gifted to you, or accept abundance, or accept that because you have those gifts you could be very successful with them. And again, I am getting a feeling that maybe tapping into a childlike and more playful energy could be beneficial for you, because this card also feels very playful to me. And what's interesting is that here again we have the woman with the half moon on her forehead, and this time her eyes are open. So it almost feels like it's a combination of those two cards. So maybe that's another clue to connect those two energies together. The energy of purity and also the energy of being in the spotlight and shining. But also let's get to more tarot cards to find out more about that. Four of Wands and Temperance. I'm sorry, I have a really hard time understanding the cards today, and I think that's the nature of shadow work, that sometimes it's very difficult for us to even connect to that part that we have pushed away. Maybe we have been very good at it, at pushing it away. But anyway, the first thing I am getting is you need more balance in your life. More balance between your heart and your mind. And also allow yourself to celebrate your achievements is what I'm hearing with that card. And I'm also hearing the expression work hard, play hard. So maybe you have been doing one or the other, but in this case I'm getting you probably neglected the playful part, the time for enjoyment, maybe time for romance, or maybe time for solitude and just enjoying nature, or enjoying a bit of stillness, or just taking a break and making time for self-care. Yeah, overall I am getting the sense that you're maybe being very hard on yourself. Maybe you could soften up a bit more and allow your creativity, your playfulness, your imagination, and also your emotions to have a space in your life, or to have more space in your life. Maybe you do have a lot of anxiety, and maybe it would be beneficial for you to practice meditation, or to really make an effort to learn how to relax, learn how to regulate your nervous system. If you are unable to relax, and you could do some deep belly breathing, for example, or some creative things like singing or dancing, or maybe writing or painting or expressing yourself, and in that way getting in contact more with your emotional side, with your creative side, with your inner voice, I'm also hearing. Okay, let's have a look how you can transform your shadow and what powers that will eventually unlock for you. And we have the Head Mistress. Yes, very interesting card, because she also looks very stern and not playful at all. But this time you are being in charge. You are being in charge, and I think right now maybe you feel that you're not in charge, that someone else is in charge, and you are actually, as I mentioned before, maybe scared to to step up and be seen, and maybe also too scared to make decisions and be in control. And maybe you're very used to letting other people make decisions because maybe you don't want to take up too much space, but now it's the time to take up more space and to be confident and decisive and set your boundaries. Because if you're able to do all of those things, then you will also not have to be scared about tapping into your more softer, more emotional side, because you know that you can still put up proper boundaries when you need to. And maybe even teach someone else a thing or two. Because with this, I'm seeing you're not scared of your power anymore. You're not scared to be seen anymore. You're not scared to be who you are anymore. You're very aware of your own abilities, and you're very aware of your own boundaries, and you don't tolerate BS from other people anymore. And you also don't care about what other people may think about you so much anymore. You are in charge, and you're very aware of it. Okay, let's get some more cards to see how the shadow integration will change your life. And we have 2 of Pentacles. Yes, more balance. I'm already getting that. 5 of Wands. And we have 2 of Wands. So many messages about balance, because have a look at this card. The ballerina dancing or balancing on the high rope, tightrope. You know what I mean. Yeah, so once you integrate the shadow, once you allow yourself to be both confident and playful and soft and creative, your life will really feel so much more balanced, and you will be able to achieve or try things you were scared of before. And with those nets here, you will be confident that you know what you're doing and that you have the tools to do what is needed. You know that you're very accomplished. You will get past the imposter syndrome or past being dependent on other people's approval. And you will also be more resilient when it comes to competition. I think that also might be something that you're scared of, that if there's any competition that you want to cave right away because it just feels too overwhelming. And I think once you've integrated that, you will be able to take part in competition without drowning, is what I'm hearing. Okay, let's see if there's any last advice from your guides for you. And we have Candy Cane Angel. It's time for a treat. Again with the white and red colors. And we have Death and the Maiden. Invasion, boundaries, violated dominance. Yeah, so there's really more of the same messages that we got before with the Candy Cane Angel, to allow yourself, as I mentioned with the 4 of Wands, to celebrate your achievements, to enjoy life more, to be creative, to make space for your own desires, for your own wants and needs, for your own expression, your own self-care, and treating yourself to something. And it obviously doesn't have to be candy or anything. I think this is just a pointer to invest more time in self-care again. And with the Death and the Maiden, with the invasion, boundaries violated, and dominance, is also something that we've already talked about, that I feel for you it's important to be aware of your boundaries and to set proper boundaries, and also to have the confidence that you will be able to do that, or maybe work on being more confident in setting boundaries. And also to learn to set boundaries with ease, so it doesn't have to be so confrontational. It doesn't have to be sort of setting them like 5 kilometers before the actual boundary is, because you're so scared that you won't be able to set the boundary later, right? That's something that can happen when we are bad at setting boundaries, that we go into avoidance, or we go into hiding away, or we go into very firmly setting our boundaries with other people where maybe it's not even necessary, just because we are so scared that when it comes to our real boundaries, our actual boundaries, we won't be able to protect them. So that could be another clue to work on those boundaries. So here are a few themes that I think you could look into for doing some shadow work. If you feel that you're scared to be seen, have a really close look at why are you scared of being seen? What are you actually scared of that other people might learn about you? So maybe dive deeper into that fear and maybe journal about it. Also, maybe reflect on how you can be more creative, how you can make more space for yourself and your desires, how you can make more space for self-care. Maybe write a list of habits that could help you with self-care, or could help you with regulating your nervous system. And also maybe try to visualize yourself as the headmistress, or maybe another archetype that resonates with you, of someone who is very in control of herself, and who isn't afraid to express herself, and who isn't afraid to set boundaries with other people, and who is confident about her skills and abilities. Okay, yes. Those are some suggestions. Let's leave it here. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and see you next time. Hello again, and let's get started with your reading. So you chose this card, the Mother. And of course the Mother is an archetype that I almost said invites shadow. What do I mean by that? I think relationships, both with our own parent, but also with maybe ourselves as parents, can be very difficult and complex, and because they're so important, if they go wrong, it can be quite painful and cause a lot of emotional pain and difficulties for us. And as I already mentioned, this archetype, the Mother could either stand for our own mothers, or maybe for ourselves as a parent, or maybe choosing to not being a parent, or maybe even wanting to be a parent and not being able, or not being able yet to be a parent. Could also have to do with parenting our own inner child. So if you have done shadow work or therapy or anything like that before, you probably know that there's the thing called reparenting, where you try to, from an adult perspective, give love and guidance to the part of you that maybe got hurt as a child, or got confused as a child, or needs some mothering, some reparenting to heal those emotional wounds. So I'm not quite sure yet how this archetype or this shadow will show up for you, but let's maybe get some cards for that to see how it shows up in your life. How does a shadow show up in your life? Intellect. Actually, let's get a second card. And I'm feeling this one, patience. Intellect and patience. So the first thing I'm getting here is that maybe there's some pain you feel around your mother or your parents, or some experiences you had as a child with your parents that you try to address by intellectualizing it, by thinking about it rather than feeling it. But I think this actually prevents it from fully being able to heal. Maybe you have a sense of you should be above it, or that shouldn't be able to get under your skin, or maybe you've been told that you shouldn't make a fuss about it, or it's nothing or something like that. But I think there's some pain, some emotional pain you experienced as a child that you weren't allowed to feel or to express. And that created then a pattern of maybe not allowing yourself to feel or express your feelings and go more to the intellect, or feel safer in the mind, being rational. But the shadow side of that, of course, is that you might lack compassion for yourself. You might still sort of feel those pains, but not allow yourself to feel them, because maybe you confuse it with self-pity, and you're judging it as weak or pathetic or something like that, while actually it would be important for you to allow yourself to feel those feelings and to express them, and then to eventually heal them. And with the patients I'm getting, maybe the wound has to do with someone being very impatient with you. Maybe you are someone who has very deep feelings or very deep thoughts, and maybe it takes you a bit of time to process those, or to fully understand what's going on. Or maybe you're a bit of a dreamer, and it's difficult for you sometimes to absorb information. Maybe it's even difficult for you to be rational and intellectual. Maybe that's a difficulty for you, and that makes maybe other people's impatient with you. Maybe especially your mother impatient with you. But let's get some tarot cards to get some more information. So how is this shadow connected to the mother showing up in your life? Actually, I'm getting those 3 cards. The Queen of Cups, yes, definitely something about emotions. The 7 of Pentacles and the 5 of Swords. I find it very interesting that all those cards are looking to the left, which is sometimes considered the past. So I feel there's something that's sort of trapping you in the past, and it's probably those childhood wounds I've already mentioned. And it's almost like it's stalking you, that there's some sort of conflict or inner conflict that you can't let go of. Or maybe you feel other people can't let go of, and you're sort of trapped in this conflict, either with someone else, maybe even your mother, or with yourself, with your inner self. Maybe it feels like a battle between your mind and your heart. And interestingly enough, the 7 of Pentacles is also a card that can speak of patience. Patiently tending to your garden until you can finally harvest the fruits. And you can't rush that. And sometimes also healing that needs to happen, you can't rush that. You can take the necessary steps, yes, but it won't happen overnight. And maybe you're impatient with yourself also. Maybe you feel you don't have the time to explore your emotions or to explore your inner conflicts. Maybe you feel like just making rational choices and putting those things aside is the best course of action for you. But this reading is here to tell you that it's not, that actually you need to tend to those things like you would tend to a garden. Because this, whatever this is clearly robbing you of energy. It's always in the background, like some sort of background noise. And maybe it prevents you from feeling inner peace, or maybe it prevents you from relaxing, or maybe it's just drawing out some energies. Or maybe you're very aware of it also, and it's circling in your mind. Maybe causing you to dwell on the past. Yeah, I think it's time now to get in contact with your emotional side more. But let's have a look on what transformative powers might be there for you to help you integrate that shadow. What might help you? Okay, we got this card, Narcissus. Walk away. Very interesting. Actually, let's get one more card. What else could help you? I'm getting this card, Liberty Cap, Surrender. So yes, with this card, Narcissus, Walk Away, I am getting, maybe it is time to be more selfish in a sense. And by that I mean make more space for yourself and your emotions, maybe also. Don't get trapped in the past. Walk away from it. Make an effort to detach from it. Or maybe detach from this person for a moment if you have a conflict, an ongoing conflict with someone. Maybe it's time to take a step back and just make some space to explore your own feelings and have a look at those wounds. Maybe that is part of the conflict, that maybe you're feeling very hurt by this person, probably your mother or another family member. But maybe you felt obliged to stay connected to them. And if that's the case, then now is the time to not engage anymore in this conflict, because it's leading you nowhere. It's just getting you stuck in the past. And with the Liberty Cap, and it says surrender, I'm also hearing that there's nothing to be gained. So if you were waiting for someone to maybe apologize or see your point from view, there's nothing to be gained. Don't wait for it. Just walk away from it and just count your losses and make a cut. And accept that in this situation you can't win. And again, with the surrender, I'm getting surrender to your own emotions. Surrender to your own truth, I'm hearing. And look at this card with the third eye being activated. I think it's time for you to, I'm hearing, stop pretending and face the truth and speak this truth, and not sort of either spiritually bypass it or cognitively bypass it, but really sitting with it and being with it and speaking your truth about what pains you and what hurt you and how difficult your past was. Yeah, with those cards I'm getting more and more the sense that you might have been hurt as a child, and somehow you were never able to move on from it, or you were never able to heal it. And so now is the time where you should really make addressing that a priority. But let's get some more cards to see what else might help you transform that shadow. Six of Cups and Four of Wands. So yeah, the Six of Cups, of course, is another card that can stand for nostalgia or inner child healing. So I definitely think this is an important journey for you. And with the six of cups, and she is looking fondly at some family photos, I am getting the sense that maybe you pretended that everything was going well with your family and you weren't hurt, or maybe someone else, like your mother, pretended that everything was fine, but maybe they actually were the narcissist and didn't treat you well because they were so focused on themselves. So all of those could be issues that have been overlooked, or maybe you try to pretend there weren't issues, or you try to be the bigger person, quote unquote, and be strong and pretend that it didn't hurt you. But actually now would be the time to admit that it did hurt you. And with the Four of Wands, I am getting, be more open to express your emotional needs. Because we not only have physical needs, we all have emotional needs as well. So everyone wants to be loved, everyone wants to be appreciated. Everyone wants to be seen ultimately, and seen as who they are, and not just some expectation or image the other person has of you. And also connect with the people that will support you. Disconnect from people that will hurt you, and connect to people that will support you, or find a space for you that feels safe and supported. Either with some other family members or friends, or maybe you have your own family that will support you. And if not, maybe even seek out therapy to get help and support that you need. But you will know what that is. And if you don't, maybe spend some time on figuring out what it is that would support you most at this moment, would support you emotionally. Maybe also with practical things, but the main thing I feel that you need now is emotional support. And staying away from narcissistic people, and in a way being more egoistic yourself, but in a healthy way, in a sense of protecting your boundaries and taking care of yourself. Okay, then let's have a look. Once you've transformed this shadow, what kind of power will it unlock for you? And I'm getting this card, the Mastermind. Interesting. Yeah, from this card I'm getting, maybe right now you're scared to take up space. You're scared maybe to be too egoistic. But also you do have needs and desires that you want fulfilled, and maybe you're sort of ignoring them or pretending that you don't have them, because maybe you were told that it is a bad thing to have needs and desires and dreams and to want things. But I think now you're really realizing that it is important for you, and that you deserve it to have all your desires fulfilled. And to be happy in all areas of your life, whether that's success or relationship, or just being yourself, being with your family, having a career, whatever it is, all areas of your life, not just one. And to find a path that is emotionally fulfilling for you, I think that's most important. And using your mind in a way that actually supports you and not sabotages you. Because as they say, the mind is a good servant but not a good leader. So it's important to consider other aspects of yourself as well. And I think you have most neglected your emotional side of yourself. Okay. Let's have a look of how your life will change once you integrate that shadow. We have the Two of Cups. Yeah, I think you will be open to have better relationships with people that are more fitting for you, are more in tune with you. Page of Swords. Yeah, and I think you will have more clarity on what it actually is that you want, and you will be able to communicate it more clearly also. And the Magician. It's interesting to get the Magician as the last card because it has a number 1. Of course, in Tarot, the Fool has a number 0, so it's not actually the first card, but it is the first numbered cards. And in this case, I think that means that you will be able to start a completely new life on a new level once you are getting quote unquote rid of the things that are dragging you down. And I think the things that are dragging you down are mainly those childhood wounds and those conflicts you have with your family or with yourself because of some childhood wounds. Okay, let's get 2 more cards to see if there's anything else you need to know about integrating your shadow. And we have Pink Lotus Fairy, A Time for Spirit. And Marie Masquerade, Glamour, Intrigue and Drama. Yeah, the first thing I'm hearing is don't let yourself be drawn into drama. Because that obviously could be the case if you're connected to a narcissist or just someone who try to ignore your emotional needs or emotional wounds or try to ridicule them or something. They are probably also a person who will try to draw you into their drama, and maybe they're the ones that is continuing this constant conflict. And as we mentioned before, the only way to deal with that is just to walk away from it. And at the same time, it also says glamour. So again, I feel this ties back to this card of the Mastermind, that there's nothing wrong with wanting a bit extra, with wanting to be a bit glamorous or living a bit of a luxurious life or something like that. And allow yourself to want those things is what I'm hearing. Allow yourself to take up space is what I'm hearing. And connect with the things that make you happy, and connect with the people that make you happy. And with the Pink Lotus Fairy, A Time for Spirit, I think this is bringing in a completely new topic. And I feel right now spirituality maybe is not a big thing in your life, or maybe it used to be, and for some reason or other you haven't been making space for that side of yourself, or haven't been making space for actively engaging in your spiritual practices. So that could be a clue to how to integrate the shadow more, by having maybe a meditation practice or some other spiritual practice that helps you connect with yourself and helps you connect with your emotions. However, I also want to mention that sometimes some spiritual teachings are very focused on saying things like, oh, you have to destroy your ego, or you have to even kill your ego or something like that. And I have seen before that for people who are very hurt in their self-worth, that can actually lead them astray even further, because they, even though they're not taking up space, even though they are already neglecting their own dreams and hope and wishes and need, they feel maybe they're still being too egoistic. Don't think you're too egoistic. I think for you, maybe you could be a little bit more egoistic. And as I mentioned before, I'm not saying that you shouldn't consider other people's feelings or other people's expectations or whatever, but carefully consider how much you can give to others and how much you need for yourself, and when the time is right to sort of give other people what they want, and when it's the time to draw a boundary and, as we mentioned before, walk away, or maybe confront them with that they've hurt you, or stand up for yourself against them. That's also very important. Okay, so let me give you some suggestions for some shadow work you could do. I think for you, number one really is working with your inner child. And there are many ways to do it. There you could do some meditation. You could also just sit with your inner child and ask your inner child what it wants to do. And also, maybe you've heard that inner children are very creative. Maybe you can allow them to express themselves creatively. Maybe sit down with a paper and some crayons and allow your inner child to draw something, or to speak to you, or to make suggestions, or to be more playful. All of those things are very healing to the inner child. And maybe also get into a spiritual practice. Maybe you already have a spiritual practice you could reconnect to, but definitely make sure it's a spiritual practice that supports you, that feels supportive, and be aware of those spiritual teachers that only reinforce your sense that you're wrong or you're too much or something like that. Please make sure that your spiritual practice is not reinforcing or worsening your childhood wounds. That's a thing I'm hearing I should really tell you. In general, connect more to your emotions, connect more to things that you want. Maybe even write a list of things you want and things you desire, regardless of whether you think you can or should achieve them, regardless of whether you think they are realistic. Just allow yourself to be honest about what you really feel and what you really want, and you could journal about that. And again, I mentioned the spiritual bypassing and the cognitive bypassing before, so really try to stay connected to your feelings and not talk yourself out of them, or quote unquote meditate yourself out of them. And maybe also I suggested in group 1, and that could also be maybe a thing for you. Try to imagine yourself as this archetype, as the mastermind, or maybe a different archetype that resonates for you, of someone who unapologetically goes for the things they want. I think that could be quite helpful for you. Okay, that's it for now. So thank you so much for spending this time for me. Please consider liking and subscribing. I hope you liked this reading, and see you next time. Hello again, and let's get started with your reading. So you chose this card, the Survivor. And from that I'm getting that probably you have been through a very difficult time. And if you have, I'm very, very sorry, but seems like you have survived it and you came out the other side. But maybe some of those feelings of those difficulties are still present. But yeah, let's find out how this shadow is showing up in your life. Let's see how is this showing up. And we have solitude. And one more. This one, integrity. Okay, so yeah, with the solitude, I feel like part of you is still in survival mode, and I think that you are craving rest and solitude, and maybe so far you haven't had the space for it, or maybe it's the other way around and you have sort of gone into solitude and sort of withdrawn yourself from your life or from your social life, maybe. Yeah, I'm getting a strong sense that you are somehow having difficulties with transitioning out of that difficult period you might have been in before, and integrating the experiences that you had. There was the integrity card. Getting back to more balance. Getting back to being yourself, I'm hearing. Maybe you're struggling with that. But let's get some more tarot cards to clarify that. How is that showing up in your life right now? And I'm getting those two cards. The Three of Cups and the Chariot. Yeah, with the Chariot I'm getting you're still in overdrive is what I'm hearing. And with this card I'm getting that even if there are good things in your life, you can't really enjoy them. Because something of this is still lingering. Some sort of fear or shock or trauma is still sort of in your bones, I'm hearing. Okay, let's have a look at what energies might help you transform your shadow and integrate it. What kind of energies do you want to help you with that? Hemlock, psychic protection. I love the colors of this card. A lot of green and the red coat, like a protective outer shell, and also around the head, the red circle. Mirroring that halo in this card. And I'm hearing stop playing the hero. Or maybe not playing the hero, but maybe you've been in sort of hero mode or in taking on a lot of responsibility to get yourself out of the situation, this sort of dangerous situation with the wolf here and Little Red Riding Hood sort of escaping the wolf or fighting against the wolf or overcoming the challenge anyway, that's red. Yes, I'm feeling that you really need some time and some space and maybe even some solitude to heal inside and to nourish yourself and to realign yourself, but not in stagnation, really in deep healing and deep rest, and not just shutting those feelings out, but finding a way to integrate them, finding to a new balance. And I think for you, or for some of you at least, you will have to find sort of your own path, because with the psychic protection and with those sort of wands pointing in towards the head, I'm getting maybe a lot of people have a lot of advice for you, and maybe none of that is very useful to you. And all you crave maybe for some of you is silence and peace and rest. But let's see what else might help you transform that shadow. Judgment. Yeah, you need a fresh new start. You need to sort of start over. And the Tower. Wow, yeah, two major arcana cards and two cards also speaking of changes, new starts, transformations, starting over, reevaluating your life. And I'm feeling that for some of you, maybe you have to go to a different place to start over. Maybe you can't stay in the environment you're in right now because too much happened there. And I don't know whether that's your family or your job or the place you live, or maybe in the circle of friends or a certain career or whatever it is. And I think you will know what it is. Maybe it's time to either move away for it or at least take a good long break from it. And taking the time to reevaluate and taking the time to become aware what's really meaningful to you in life. Okay, let's maybe get one more of those cards. I'm getting the sense that there's more that we should be aware of. Okay, this one, Liberty Cap, Surrender, and this one also sort of turned over. Angels, Trumpet, Open Your Mind. Yeah, again, I feel that you have to be open to try something completely new. And also take a moment to pause and to sit with the truth of the situation. And I think that's what meant with surrender, practicing acceptance. And of course, acceptance doesn't mean that we have to say yes to everything. We can, of course, still make our own choices and have our own opinions and have our own feelings about things, but acceptance or surrender in this case means accepting the truth of what is, surrendering to the truth of what is, and really being brave enough to face the truth, because I think it might be a difficult truth, because I think you might have walked a difficult path to get to this situation. And again, I really feel for you, and I'm very sorry if you had a difficult path or a difficult past. But I'm getting a strong sense that now you're getting a chance to start anew. Because with this tower, of course, it has a lot of destructive energy on a surface level, but on a deeper level, it also grants you the chance to start over, to build a new foundation on the things that really matter to you, and with a judgment to reevaluate those things, or at least open your mind to the possibility of having things changed on a fundamental level. And maybe you reevaluate those things and you come to the conclusion that you already are in a place where you want to be. I don't think it's very likely, but it could be. But if you reflect on it first, it will give you the confidence and the being sure about it, that that is actually what you want and what you believe in, and what life you want to choose for yourself. And I feel even if you don't want to make any major changes, you will have to make some adaptations in your life. Because if you don't, I feel you will be forever, or maybe not forever, but for an uncertain amount of time, remain in that limbo, in that in-between, where you've moved out of a difficult phase, but somehow you can't get back to yourself and to your life, or to the life you want, or to enjoying things. Okay, let's get another card to see what that shadow can possibly unlock for you. And I'm seeing this card, the Vampire, and I'm also seeing this card, the Avenger. Yeah, with this card I am getting to really think about whether or not you want to invest any more energy on whatever that survivor card was speaking about. And again, the vampire, this situation, it might be like a vampire, like it's drawing out your life energy, and you don't want to allow it to drain you anymore. And maybe moving on from it might require a plan or an action where you seek out justice for yourself. I'm not saying revenge, because I think revenge is something that more often than not could go really, really wrong and leave you even more depleted than before, or when the anger and the lust for revenge have subsided, it might leave you empty, and maybe it's better to invest into your own future than seeking out revenge. But of course, if the situation requires or calls for seeking justice, then by all means stand up for yourself. And sometimes, like fear and pain can be transformed into anger or rage, and anger and rage then can be transformed into action or be the fuel for action. However, you have to be sort of careful not to blindly let those drive you, or to make any rash decisions because of it. So even if you feel that you have to avenge yourself or someone else, do so with integrity and make sure you are protected. Don't put yourself at risk because you're seeking out revenge. It's very interesting because I feel in this group, those two cards are not necessarily pointing at what qualities you want to represent. They're more pointing to what might be still difficult right now. And maybe it's that you really, again, as I mentioned before, have to think about what you really want, or what you really want to stand for, or what your values are, or what's valuable to you and life, and how you want to be and who you want to be, and on what basis you want to build that new life. Okay, but let's get some more tarot cards to see how your life will change once you have integrated that aspect of yourself, that shadow aspect of yourself. 5 of Swords, Knight of Cups, Knight of Wands. Yeah, I'm getting a lot about forward movement with the 2 Knights. And I think again here you're being given a choice. Do you want to be the Knight of Wands? In this case, I feel he might be the one being out for revenge. Or do you want to be the Knight of Cups, who in this case I feel offers a cup of peace, right? Has a peace offering to bring, and maybe bring to yourself, not necessarily the other person. Could be the other person, or could be the situation, as I mentioned, with accept and surrender to the situation, to the truth of the situation. But also with the 5 of Swords, that again is a strong indicator that maybe it would be best to just move away from whatever that conflict is, because I'm getting a sense that for most of you there's nothing to be gained from staying in that situation, or staying in that conflict, or maybe even seeking out that conflict. And again, I want to mention, by all means, stand up for yourself. And if this is a situation where you have to seek justice, definitely do that if you can. But again, I'm hearing and feeling don't seek revenge. Seek to build something positive for you. Seek to find something that supports you and makes you reconnect to the joy of life. Okay, let's get 2 more cards to see if you guys have any more messages for you. We have Lady with a Bosch egg, Ancient Wisdom. We have Fairy of the Highlands, It's Time to Be Brave. And we have Merry Masquerade, Glamour, Intrigue, Drama. Very interesting. And actually one of the other groups also got the Merry Masquerade. And there I got the message to not get involved in other people's drama. And I think it could be the same for you. Or at least choose which dramas you want to get involved in and which you don't want to get involved in. And with the Fairy of the Highland, It's Time to Be Brave. I am getting that there's more than one way to be brave. So again, with this card, I think that walking away from a fight or conflict can be equally a brave and right decision as sort of going into that fight or conflict. I think the importance for you now is to make a choice that is aligned for you and to choose your battles, which ones you want to fight and which ones you don't want to fight. And also protect yourself with a psychic protection, again, from being drawn into other people's drama, other people's conflicts, other people's fights. That might not be your own fights or dramas or conflicts. Lady with a Bosch, Ancient Wisdom. Actually, I want to have a look at the book because right now I'm not really getting a sense of why this card is showing up. Okay, and here it says, the lady speaks. My town is on fire. The night sky is full of screams and smoke. And I have done what I can to safeguard this treasure from the sacred library. I will keep it safe, record its wisdom, and ensure that these truths stay alive for a future time. So actually with the Lady of the Bosch egg, I'm feeling that maybe you saved something precious from this fire, metaphorically speaking. So maybe with a tower and such, you feel that your life is sort of falling apart, but I feel that you were able to save something very valuable. And maybe that's just the wisdom you got from the situation. Or maybe it's some wisdom or skill that you have anyway. And if that's the case, then you should know that no one and nothing can take that away from you because it is yours. And also with the tower, yes, things are falling apart, but the things that truly belong to you and the things that are yours in a more spiritual sense, in the sense that you are meant to have those things, or you are meant to be those things, or you are meant to express those aspects, then those things will always stay with you through fires even, I'm hearing. Okay, yes, here are some ideas how you could do shadow work, and the first thing I am getting is to really have the courage to confront your situation or confront your feelings. Create a safe space where you can do that. Maybe it's within meditation, or maybe, as I mentioned before, you need to remove yourself from that situation for a while, so you really have time to reflect, and you really have time to look back and really allow yourself to deeply explore all those things that happened, and all those feelings and thoughts you have around them. And maybe you need support for that, then please make sure you get the support you need for that. But yeah, I think for you, the main message is that you really need to reevaluate your life and make decisions based on the things that are important and meaningful to you. And be brave enough to make those decisions. Yeah, that's the main message I'm getting for you. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. Please consider liking and subscribing. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and see you next time. Hello again, and let's get started with your reading. So you chose this card, the Sleeper. And I find it very interesting how she is turning away from the full moon, turning away from the light. So I think there's maybe something that you're turning away from, something where you maybe want to escape into a world of dreams, or want to ignore or just close your eyes to, something that you're afraid to confront. Or maybe you have a tendency for escapism, or a tendency for sort of retreating into your dreams, retreating into your sleep, rather than facing reality. That could be part of your shadow, but let's see how this shadow is showing up in your life for you. And we have opulence. And we have contemplation. Interesting with this opulence card. And she is sort of upside down. There's a lot of different colors and spirals and glasses of drinks. I feel that maybe at the moment your life feels a bit chaotic, or maybe you feel like you've lost a bit of control even, or there's something that's very overwhelming to you. And I feel in this reading, the opulence, it isn't positive at all. It just means that there's somehow too much of something. Or maybe you are sort of sick and tired of let's call them party people, or people who are very superficial, or people who are just about flaunting their wealth and their success and the things they have, or people who are just concerned with their image. And I think you feel a lack of realness, of depth, of things that are meaningful. And I think you're very tired of distractions, and maybe sort of partying or something like that might have been your go-to, as I mentioned in the beginning, that you might be prone to escapism. But now I think you're feeling that that's not working for you anymore. And I think you could maybe benefit from a bit of contemplation and going within and really thinking about what's meaningful to you. But maybe also that's sort of difficult and overwhelming for you. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of, even in my body, the sense of being sort of annoyed and tired and just having enough and being over it. And also being exhausted, being tired. Yeah, being fed up. All those things. I'm feeling them very strongly. But let's have a look if the tarot cards can tell us some more about how this is showing up in your life. And we are getting the Magician, the Ace of Swords, and the Fool. yeah, with all of those 3 cards, I'm getting that you are craving clarity. And you're craving something that is more serious, that isn't so silly and foolish and superficial, as I mentioned before. And again, with the magnifying glass underneath a contemplation, I'm really getting that it's time for you to go within and contemplate and understand and have a look at what it is really that you want from life, and having clarity about it. And maybe with the parting I got from this card, maybe there's also for some of you might be a topic of addictions, or maybe just recreational alcohol or drug use that is sort of clouding your mind, and maybe you've been self-medicating with that. And I mean, to a certain degree there's nothing wrong with it, but it's really important to understand the difference between enjoying it occasionally to have a drink, or when you're really using it as a replacement for something else that you need, like some sort of emotions that you seek, or some emotional needs that aren't fulfilled, and you try to sort of gloss over it or use it as escape, as I mentioned before. And if that's the case, you should really, or at least you could use this as an incentive to really be honest with yourself about it, and to make a clear decision on cutting that out and facing your truth and getting to a deeper truth of it, and not playing the fool anymore. Or maybe that has been a guise for you to be sort of funny and entertaining and sort of hide what's really going on, and hide those deeper feelings you might have. Maybe some sort of sadness, or feeling lost, or something like that. Or maybe you don't even know what those feelings are right now, and you have to really take the time and explore those. Okay, but let's have a look at what energies might help you integrate your shadow and transform it. And I'm seeing this card, Snowdrop, and also this card, Foxglove. And interesting, both of those cards, they have a very similar posture, and they also have both those leaves almost like angel wings. And from that I'm getting that you could really benefit from raising up your energy and not engaging in those, let's call it, low energy activities anymore. And again, there's nothing wrong with a bit of partying, but if you have this superficial lifestyle while you're really craving something deeper and something more real, then it is really time to let that go, and to really clear out those old energies. Maybe physically clearing them out from your system, but also energetically detaching from them. And I think in this case I want to have a quick look at the guidebook for both of the cards. And we have Snowdrop. And it says, Snowdrop has a hard time accepting the cycles of life. When things are going well, they worry that something bad will happen. When things are going badly, they think the good times will never arrive again. Snowdrop is stuck in a pessimistic thought frequency and always expects the worst to happen. They focus on the negative and forget to be grateful for what they already have. yeah, from that I am getting that, as I mentioned in the very beginning, that maybe there's something you would rather avoid or not see clearly. And I think that's probably the more difficult emotions. And maybe you desperately want things to be good, and maybe you're even pretending that they're good with the partying again, or it doesn't even have to be partying. Maybe there's something else, how you distract yourself from your problems. Some of us are workaholics, for example, so it could be any number of things, but I think you want to avoid some of the more difficult emotions, like I mentioned before, like maybe sadness or a sense of being lost, or a sense of not belonging, maybe. I don't know. I think it's for you to explore what those emotions actually are. But let's also have a look at Foxglove. The disempowered foxglove has unrealistic expectations of themselves and others, who they believe should read their mind and automatically know what they want and need. They hold idealistic views about how things should be and think the world must fit this vision. Being optimistic is a good trait, but it's impossible to control everything and everyone with their magical thinking. Yeah, I think that again points to the fact that you might be sort of forcing your life to look great in the hopes that then it will feel great as well. But I think that isn't working for you anymore. Yeah, I think there are some issues that have to be addressed, and just pretending that they're not there won't work for you. Or maybe you feel like the odd one out. Maybe you feel that everyone else is having such a perfect life, and that's why you feel that you can't open up to anyone about your problems, but you really need to do that. And maybe the first step is admitting them to yourself. And then later maybe finding someone you can share that with, and it could be a friend, or if those are serious problems, maybe also consider seeking out a therapist or something like that. Okay, we have 7 of Wands. We have 9 of Cups and Page of Pentacles. And the first thing I'm hearing with the 7 of Wands is stop fighting it. Stop putting it off. I think you know very well that you have to confront some issues, and again, this card indicates that now is the time to do it. And I think ultimately that will lead you to more emotional fulfillment. And I think once you've let go of all of that and started into living a more authentic life, living a life more from your heart, and living more from your truth, or expressing your truth, then you will start feeling more emotionally fulfilled, and that will also help you keep moving forward. And you might have to learn some new skills with the Page of Pentacles, but it will be worth it. It will be worth it to slowly and surely start creating a better and more fitting life for yourself. Because you're so done with that again. I'm feeling that very strongly, that whatever that is, you're done with it. Okay, let's now have a look at what this might unlock for you. And I'm seeing this card, the Outlaw, and I'm also seeing this card, the career girl. Interesting. Yeah, I'm feeling that you're sort of coming from this place and moving to this place. And I don't want to be rude, and I don't want to make any assumptions about you, but this gives me the feeling that maybe you thought like a cool or edgy lifestyle would be the right thing for you, when in reality this is more like you. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that if you're true to yourself, you have really high hopes and dreams and aspirations to have a specific career, or to maybe be a writer or an artist. Well, I think there's something that at the moment you are feeling is out of reach, but really you want to be a more balanced and stable person than you are now, because you feel that while this might be fun, it's leading you nowhere. That's a strong sense that I'm getting, so I'm just saying it the way I'm feeling it, and the messages I'm getting. And being the career girl, or of course it's could be any gender, being someone who is career focused or successful, it doesn't have to be boring, and it doesn't have to mean that you're enslaved, quote unquote, to the 9 to 5. There are many different ways to have a career or to be successful. Maybe it's not even a career. Maybe it's a hobby that is maybe a bit nerdy or a bit more serious, and doesn't maybe fit with the crowd that you're with at the moment, or doesn't fit with this image of the entertainer that you might have at the moment, because it's maybe more serious or more intellectual, or more I don't know, maybe it has to do with finance, and seems a bit boring to some other people, but I think it's something you would be really good at, and I think that's something that you really crave, because it would give you that sense of realness and of stability and of groundedness. And maybe if it's something creative, it would also allow you to express yourself in new and more sophisticated ways. Maybe also you have learned something from your path in the past, and you want to share it with others and inspire others with your story. Okay, let's get some tarot cards to see how this might change your life. The 5 of Cups, the 5 of Pentacles, and the 7 of Cups. Yes, interesting. I think it will allow you to move on from a sense of loss and a sense of being lost, to being in a situation where you have lots of choices. Maybe because you have been able to stabilize your finances, or stabilize your life, or build a career for yourself that will unlock so many more choices. While right now you're probably feeling that you don't have a lot of choices at all. You're sort of stuck or trapped in the past, or in some sort of misery, and maybe you're not even aware of how deeply you're in some sort of emotional misery, because you're not allowing yourself to feel it. And maybe you have good reason to not allow yourself to feel it. Maybe it's very overwhelming, but I think now is a time to actually confront it, so you can move on from it eventually. And it's good to grieve, and it's good to take your time to heal. But you don't want to get stuck in it. You eventually want to move on from it and build yourself up. And I think that's a very important message also, that you will be the one building yourself up. You will be the one building your new life. You have it in you to create those things for yourself. Maybe with help. Of course, always seek out help if you need that. But ultimately from your own power and from your own decision especially, and from gaining clarity. Okay, let's see if there's any last messages from your guides for you. Getting to take those 2 cards, and we have out trick or treating, we are here, and shallow grave, you miss someone. Okay, with the you miss someone shallow grave, I am getting that either you are grieving, and if you are, I'm very sorry for your loss. And as I mentioned before, please take your time. But also know that it won't last forever. Those feelings won't last forever, and you will heal and be able to move on with your life. I'm not saying you will be able to heal completely, but you will be able to heal enough to move on with your life. Or maybe it is that you can't let this go because that's your social group, that's the crowd you're with. And maybe you feel if you're the only one who sort of steps into this energy, then you will be losing some friends or losing the connection to your family. Maybe your family is like that. Or maybe you will be less popular or something like that. But if that's the case, I'm getting the message that you can't let that hold you back. You can't let fear of losing popularity or friends hold you back from what you really desire. And it is interesting because we have 5, and then we have here another 5 on this card. And of course, the number 5 stands for change, but it also stands for decision making, in the sense that you are the one who brings about the change. You are the one who's able to change directions. So I think, again, that's a message of really choosing your own path and maybe having some introspection, some contemplation about what that path might be for you. And I feel this is also a message that, of course, you can still enjoy life. Of course, you can still have some parties and some vacations and some meaningless distractions. However, that can't be the priority in your life anymore. Or you don't want it to be the priority in your life anymore. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do. It's just what I'm getting from those cards. So for your shadow work, some ideas that I am getting is really have a good look at what those energies are. Those energies where you're seeking out distraction, where you're seeking out escapism, and finding out what's underneath it. What sort of feelings are you escaping from or avoiding? And what might be some more healthy ways to approach them? And I think maybe one way you could make it easier for you to detach from those things is to really have a clear vision of where you want to go instead. And maybe really contemplate what this career girl or a similar archetype might mean for you. What is your passion? What is the career you want to have? What is the creative outlet you want to follow? And also, I think maybe you need to do some grieving, and maybe you need to develop a sense of acceptance for the fact that some things in life are hard, and that's really, really unfair if you are the one who got dealt the difficult cards, and maybe the people you know, they have it quote unquote more easy than you, or it looks to you that they have it more easy on you than you. But no matter which cards you got dealt, you would do well to take responsibility for your life and to really work on building and improving your life. And I know that, again, it can be really unfair that you feel that you either had really bad luck, or someone else maybe did something for you that made things much more difficult, or they sabotaged you, or everyone else around you just happens to be born with lots of privilege, and you don't. You belong maybe to a marginalized group or something like that. And if that's the case, we really have my empathy. However, I'm still here to tell you that no matter where you are now, you have to be the one to pull yourself out of it, ultimately. With help maybe, but ultimately there's no one who will come to quote unquote save you. You will have to do that yourself, and you can. You absolutely can. Slowly but surely maybe, and with lots of clarity. And with seeking out clarity and seeking out to raise your vibration, to have a plan, to slowly but surely move away from your old life into the new life. I think that's something that you need and want right now, and you will be so able to do it. I'm seeing that for you. You will be able to get to this point where you can just look at the shopping window, metaphorically speaking, and choose what you want. Okay, yeah, let's leave it here, and thank you so much for spending this time with me. Please consider liking and subscribing. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and see you next time.